Welcome back to the Alter Ego Bros. I'm Andy, that's Nick, and today we're going to be talking about Send Help, but also comparing it to its rival, Iron Lung. We're a little bit late on this, we know. We weren't going to do a review on Send Help, but because of the whole battle and everything going on, we just felt obligated to talk about this and compare it to Iron Lung since it's kind of a big deal right now.
Yeah.
But let's not keep you guys waiting too long. Let's get into our scores and then we'll get into these details. I am a 5 out of 10 on this one.
What the fuck?
I really thought overall it did a pretty good job and it was entertaining, but it was kind of like a Marvel movie to me. It's like it did its job, but it didn't really exceed anything in any sort of category for me.
Send Help is a gross and gory survival of the fittest thriller that waits until the final moments to bring home the bacon. I gave this an 8 out of 10.
Holy shit, you're way higher than I am. What the fuck?
To be fair, I was sitting at a 5 out of 10 as well. For a majority of the movie, you really had to wait out those final moments to get to that payoff.
That's going to give us a combined channel rating of 6 out of 10, putting it at a 6 on our tier list. So I think the first thing I want to talk about is the story, but before I get into that, I came across something really staggering. The box office for the past 2 weekends for Send Help has made it $54 million. Can you guess how much Iron Lung has made in 2 weekends?
No, I don't think I will.
God damn it.
But
it's a staggering $34 million. The fact that this $3 million budget for Iron Lung made $34 million in 2 weeks is ridiculous. Meanwhile, Send Help had a $40 million budget and it's made back 54. So as far as your return on investment, Iron Lung, that is really kicking everyone's ass.
But Andy, what about the actual tickets sold?
I didn't want to get into this because my biggest gripe when people start comparing like which movie was more successful than the other is they always look at the actual box office, which is a dollar amount. And the issue with that, something like Iron Lung is only having a digital release versus Send Help having Dolby and IMAX releases. Dolby and IMAX just cost more inherently. It's the same one person going to see that movie, but they spent more money because of the format that they went to. So my biggest thing is I wanted to know is who really won last weekend? Was it Send Help or Iron Lung based on how many people actually went to see the movie? I don't know the true figures to be honest with you, but Mark mentioned it in a live stream and he said in the opening weekend, Send Help received 1.22 million tickets and Iron Lung got 1.33 million tickets.
Wow, that's like 2.66 million eyeballs.
That is the winning category in my opinion. Hollywood's gonna love Mark.
Well, rumor has it, real hush-hush stuff, that maybe Mark has already met with some Hollywood studios and are discussing another project for the next few years out. I'm going to put some real sneaky music in there for that part.
But god damn it, this is a Send Help review, so let's talk about Send Help, why don't we? To me, the story was just low-hanging fruit. The idea that you can be in charge of your boss and be in that type of scenario. It just seems kind of like low IQ level thinking and just kind of not really challenging anything. I didn't really care for that. And on top of that, the survival aspect, there were some survival tactics that, I think we've all seen on TV that's like, yeah, that makes sense. But there were also some things that they did that just made no sense at all. Like he still had a bum leg and they're climbing a cliff. That's hard to do even on 2 regular good legs, and you're in a survival situation. You have to be rationing and thinking about that stuff, and you're just exerting energy to just get a good view for fun. Like, that's not how that works at all. So they went away from the survival aspect of it quite a few times in there, and that kind of irked me, but it was still entertaining. That's my overall consensus. What about you?
I agree with a lot of what you just said. And like I said earlier, I was in the same boat, like up until that last couple minutes. And then we see a twist in there. They get off the island, presumably just Linda gets off the island, and she's giving an interview on a golf course where she has taken over the company. She's now trying to sell this book, and there's a fourth wall break. And she looks at the camera after being told, so what did you do that saved you? And she said, well, I came to terms with that nobody was going to come save me. I had to save myself. And then it just all came in, just flooding into my brain. This this isn't as simple as it seemed. It's really easy to go into this movie and just have that front-facing view of this is just a survival movie. It's actually a societal movie. And we've got two different types of society warring with each other throughout the entire thing. And as I kept rewinding the movie in my head, I kept noticing things over and over and been like, oh, that's what it was trying to. Oh, and everything just kept flooding in there and rewrote my entire last 2.5 hours or whatever it was. And everything finally connected. First off, Brad and his buddies, I noticed they were dressed very odd for the time. And I had a hard time placing, are we in 2026? Are we like in the late 80s, early 90s? And that was on purpose. Specifically, the person that Brad chooses to promote instead of Linda is wearing a very much Office Space boss suit, doing the, yeah, I'm gonna need you to come in to work on the weekends type of thing. And we're warring of an old capitalist society that is the good old boys club, that is friends over merit, and placing it into a completely new world where none of the things, none of the power that it has matters at all. And even though Linda is still very much wanting that part of society to work, she keeps giving it a chance over and over and over again. Brad can't be trusted. Every single time Linda shows even the slightest bit of trust towards Brad, he betrays her. Every single time. And ultimately, it just broke Linda. And she knew that she had to get rid of the old system. So that's what Brad is. Linda's the new system. And when she's talking at the end to us, she's telling us we can't go back. This is about America right now and how we're not going to be nice, give another chance to a system that is completely crumbling around us and not doing anything for the citizens themselves. But nobody's coming to save us. We have to save ourselves. So I thought the story was great.
I guess let's move on from story then. Let's talk about the acting a little bit. I also have a few words to say here. I think Rachel McAdams is an A+, and I think that Dylan O'Brien is a C. I loved Rachel in this. Really loved it. I would be like, man, this is almost an Oscar-worthy performance just because like I'm really sold on her character. But god damn it, every time I looked at Dylan, then I just kept getting annoyed. I don't know if it's like his face or his acting or his character or something, but I was just like, I'm not sold on this quite yet. And so I struggled there. What do you think about the acting?
I also thought that Rachel McAdams did an excellent job. That first like 4 to 6 minutes of the movie was insanely cringy. It was hard. My body and soul was ready to leave the theater at that point. I had to stay in my seat, my Dolby seat that I hadn't been in for almost 2 fucking months. But going back to what I said before about the story, I think taken into account that Dylan's character is supposed to be pretty one-dimensional, even though he's given opportunity after opportunity after opportunity to change and become a different type of character, he can't be trusted. He is supposed to be one-dimensional. And I think to that end, Dylan did a great job.
I think we have to talk about the CGI here too. To me, it was almost like any CGI moment they were given, they really didn't put a whole lot of the budget into it, and it looked like CGI, whether it's the landscape or whether it's an eyeball. It just looked cartoonish. I mean, that eyeball scene was just, it felt like it was Casper when he turned into an egg. I was like, what am I looking at? This is just gobbledygook. So I was really disappointed in the CGI, but special effects overall, I thought did a really good job. I thought they sold me on this being an island. I thought they sold me on like when the hair gets ripped out. I was just like, oh, that looks disgusting and real. I think the practical effects were really good. The CGI though is where it fell short for me.
Again, I'm right there with you. The CGI specifically was very lackluster and unnecessary. I don't know why, when they're shooting on an island, which they did in multiple islands, why they had to have these clearly fake CGI landscape shots, or why they chose to do these gory shots where they get really up close. And one of the hallmarks of CGI is don't get up close, you're gonna see all the bad. But then it's a complete 180 when you talk about the practical effects, because just like 2 seconds after that eyeball scene happens, you see the practical effects on Rachel McAdams' face. You're like, okay, that was pretty awesome. That's Sam Rami. The most egregious part to me, and the funniest part, was when they had gone through a storm. Their entire camp gets wiped out, and they're like, okay, we really should have built this on higher ground. And what they meant by higher ground was actually 20 feet to the right.
So you kind of lead into my next point, which is the cinematography. And I'm not going to dive into this too deep, but I thought the cinematography was very limited because of the, I don't know if lack of direction from the CGI or like what's going to be happening or how it works. But that moment you're talking about there, they pan across the beach. You see a nice ridge initially that's like, oh, okay, that's about like 10, 15 feet high. You're going to put it up there maybe. But then it goes over to the right a bit more and you see, oh no, they're way lower. And they're like maybe a couple feet up from the sand. I'm like, I get that is higher. But if a big storm comes and a tsunami comes, that's not probably going to do very much.
It was the same spot practically.
I think that was a direction issue, because like they could have even just made a spot on the beach that was just significantly higher. They could have just made that up, but they didn't. I don't know why. But last point I want to make was the music. And I remember earlier in the movie that there was a point where Rachel McAdams was hunkering down. All right, let's get into survival mode. Let's start making things. And I remember the music playing during that time. I just felt like was almost like kind of jokey sounding, or just it didn't fit what I was watching. So I rarely do this, but I actually went back after the movie and I listened to the soundtrack to listen to it, and I figured it out. The issue with the music that I had was it had no timbre related to this movie and the scenario that's happening. You're in a tropical island. You kind of want to hear some tropical sounds and different things like that make it fit the scenario. But I just heard general orchestral sounds that you hear in any sort of movie, and it didn't fit the theme of the movie. The songs were nice and pleasant though. I thought it had like a good overall movie theme, but it needed to actually have timbre that actually made sense with what we're actually looking at. I don't know, maybe that's niche for me and weird, but did you have any thoughts on the music at all?
Did you see who the composer was?
I forget the name.
Danny Elfman.
That's right. Danny Elfman.
That's your issue with it's Danny Elfman. That's what he does. It's jokey. It's any Tim Burton movie. That's Danny Elfman. I'm not the biggest fan. I do like his music. I do think he does great job. Clearly iconic in a lot of the work that he's done. But for this movie, it was a very weird choice. And when I saw his name come up in the opening credits, I was like, okay, well, that is not who I would have chosen for a movie like this, but maybe he needed some money. I don't know. Tim Burton's not really doing much these days. Other than that, the only issue I had was the pacing. I thought it was terribly slow at times and could have chopped off probably 15 to 20 minutes.
And that's going to wrap up our thoughts, but don't just take our word for it. Let's see what the internet has to say. So looking online, the audience has given it about an 8 out of 10 overall. And critic scores are an 8.5 out of 10. Critics liked it even more than the audience. I must be really pessimistic or something because I'm way lower, but you're right in the ballpark. So, but in general, I think we're sort of more positive, especially channel-wise. So maybe we should look at a negative score then to contrast with what we had to say. So here's a 1 out of 10 that we found. Disappointing ending. Oh, that's not what you said, buddy. The film gives us the impression for a long time that the main character is good, implying that the boss is worse. But the opposite is true. The main character is far worse, and we see this in the last 15 minutes of the movie. Because the character has plot armor, he easily gets away with everything without any harm coming to him. It's a very inconsistent ending, a simplistic finale, an ending where the bad character wins and is not harmed in any way. Oh, this is a shit fucking review. But if people have this opinion, this is fair for us to like kind of analyze. But this person, I've said it before in some reviews that have been egregious, that they totally missed the point. This is the most egregious review I've ever seen about missing the point, because the entire point is for that plot twist to happen to make you go like, oh my god, what the fuck? Like, that's a cool thing. That was the entertaining part about it.
I think it's really easy to just look at this movie for what it offers at face value, but you do have to dig just a little bit deeper. It's not like it's a huge thought piece. It's right there under the surface, but clearly I missed it up until that ending as well. It's you got to use your brain a little bit with this one. I'm not saying that your opinion's wrong. I'm just saying that it's a bad opinion to hold.
Let us know in the comment section down below what your thoughts are on this movie, and if you agree with me that's a little bit more mid, or you kind of like it a bit more and you agree with Nick. Also, thank you for liking and subscribing. It does mean a world to us. The world to us. Never mind, fuck it. Get out of here.
It doesn't mean anything to us. This is just time for me and Andy to get together every week. You're not invited.
And remember, we're literally just two regular dudes
doing regular reviews.
Reset. My brain fucked up so hard.
Fucking amateur hour over here.
I just fell apart. The Broncos lost, and I've just been not the same ever since.